going on for several years, and I think that we're finally copping to them. So we need to realign our policy, I think.
What do you mean realign? All right, let's play that game.
Okay.
Suppose it's the 21st of January,
right,
and President Obama calls you.
Okay.
You go to the White House. He says, "What's the first thing I should do about Afghanistan?"
Okay. So I think one thing I would tell President Obama to do is a full court, serious press on governance. I would tell him to, you know, he's such an inspiring person. I think he could inspire Obama. Yeah.
They talk about him in Afghanistan?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They were very interested in this election, very delighted.
So how does he use that?
Well, it's not just in Afghanistan. I think he needs to use it here and with our NATO allies. For example, rather than berating some of our NATO allies about how come you're not sending more combat troops, I would suggest that he tell, for example, Germany or Norway, some of our, staunch NATO allies who have some difficulty sending combat troops to the south, instead of berating them, tell them, I understand your capacity constraints. I understand your public opinion problems with this mission. If you can't send us combat troops, send us some retired mayors, send us some water department officials, send us some agriculture department officials. You guys know how to administer cities and regions and things like that. And
send
we
in the
need,
Peace Corps, you're saying?
Yeah, but a senior Peace Corps.
Senior
Peace Corps experience.
People know how to run things?
Yeah, and for them to come in and mentor, and that means rigorous mentoring of Afghan public officials. And I think this would both be tremendous for Afghanistan, and it would help reknit some of the somewhat frayed fabric of our friendships with our European allies.
I understand that. I hear you. But isn't there a basic need for real services, electricity, sanitation, public hygiene? Isn't infrastructure really what you're talking about?
Yeah, but you don't get infrastructure if you're passing it through corrupt channels. You don't get it. So you can build all of the power plants you want, but, if the electricity department is still playing footsie with people's meters, you're not, it's not going to work out. So that's one track. The other track is the Pakistan track. What I would say is the really dangerous thing in Pakistan right now is the Pakistani army, and in particular its military intelligence agency. And I think what you have in Pakistan is a fledgling civilian government that's kind of fighting for its life. And it's not in a position to be able to challenge this military intelligence agency very powerfully. We need to get with that government and figure out and scheme with it. How do we rein in this state within the state that is the military intelligence agency, which has been manipulating and instrumentalizing religious extremism for the past 20, 30 years to forward in a very myopic way, to forward its regional agenda both in Kashmir and in Afghanistan. And you start working on a really serious, hard-hitting plan for how you clip the wings of the ISI.
In the meantime, doesn't another American soldier have to die for a government run by the criminal class of Afghanistan?
I agree with the thrust of your question. If we are not willing to even begin to challenge President Karzai on a manifestly corrupt removal of a perfectly upstanding governor, if we're not even willing to, send our ambassador to sit down with him and say, you don't get to do that, I agree. Then why are we sending people to die?
Sarah Shays, good luck when you go back to Afghanistan, and thank you for being on the Journal again. Come back.
Thanks for having me.